Hi, it's Vex, and today we have the dorkiest commander of them all, Raggadragga, Goreguts boss. I just love saying it, Raggadragga. That's right, it's our Gruul commander. 2 red, green, legendary creature, human boar. It's not a druid like most mana dorks, but the cool part is each creature you control with a mana ability, i.e. mana dorks, gets +2/+2. So it's just a static ability. They always get +2/+2 as long as they have a mana ability. Whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, untap it. That's super sweet, so you get to kind of like pseudo-vigilance. And whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature, it gets +7/+7, and gains trample until end of turn. So, let's actually unpack this. This is our Mana Dork Tribal Commander. I have the etch foil here. I like on my deck text having these kinds of cards instead of etch foil because it's easier to read this card. That's why I have both, because it's cool to have. This is the Lord of the Mana Dorks, because it gives +2/+2 to each creature with a mana ability. So we have tons and tons of Mana Dorks. Usually when you build a deck, you say build some ramp in the deck, and you have like 10 pieces of ramp. Here, it's all ramp all the time. And then the cool part is if you ramp into something big, cast a 7 mana value card, boom, +7/+7. And then you could keep on triggering it over and over again if you keep casting more 7 mana value cards. So you can give something +14/+14. Like with many Gruul decks, it's all about getting your creature sideways, attacking with those Mana Dorks, untapping them, tapping them for some more mana, make more Mana Dorks, and so on and so forth. So we're about to get this cool deck tech. Before we get into the deck tech, don't forget to have your tokens. The deck list is in the description below with all my cool affiliate links. Help support the channel that way. Let's do it. 0 mana value Mana Dorks, i.e. the lands that are also Mana Dorks. I'm using this new technology from my label maker. The most famous 0 mana Mana Dork is Dryad Arbor. You just play it as a land. It is a creature, a land creature, forest dryad, and it is green. It's 1/1. So it is a creature with a mana ability. So automatically gets +2/+2 from Raggadragga. It does have summoning sickness, so if you play it, you can't tap it right away because it's a creature. But when it's not summoning sick, you get to attack for a 3, get to untap it and tap it again for mana. Now these other things, Treetop Village and Raging Ravine, are not creatures when the ETB, but you can pay mana like 1 in green to turn it into a 3/3 green ape with trample. The instant you turn it into an ape, it is now a creature with a mana ability because it still has land ability. It gets a +2/+2, so it's 5/5 with Raggadragga on the field. Raging Ravine, same thing. You pay 2 red-green, turn it to a 3/3, and then when you attack, right here, you give it +2. It automatically gets +2/+2 when it turns into a creature. It gets +1/+1 counter. Becomes a 6/6 attacking for the first time with Raggadragga on the field, so it's pretty neat. So you have your mana creatures, 0 mana value mana creatures. These are our 1 mana value mana creatures. Usually, you definitely try to mulligan to at least one of these on the first turn, or Dryad Arbor, so you can just start ramping right away. I'm very surprised that they have never made a 1 mana value green creature that produces a red. They made Avacyn's Pilgrim, produces a white, a 1 green produces white, makes 1 green produce a colorless, but they've never made it 1 green produce a red, and hopefully they make it soon. But anyways, we have our 1 green produce green. Boreal Druid, not as good. 1 green produce colorless. Birds of Paradise is a 1 green produce all colors, but I'm talking about specifically 1 green produce red. Hopefully one day they'll have it. Jagora Tree Speaker technically isn't a mana dork on turn 1. You have to pay 1 in green to level it up, but you could pay 1 in green to level it up and instantly tap it for 2 green, which is really cool. Here we have the 2 mana value Mana Dorks. This is the bread and butter. We have 11 of them, so a lot more than the 1 mana value Mana Dorks. We have Tangled Florahedron, which is kind of like a Llanowar Elf, but is a mold double face card, can be played as a land if necessary. Zata Druid, just add 1 green, kind of like a Llanowar Elf again, but when you tap it, deals 1 damage to each opponent, so you can deal with 3 damage, pretty cool. Rada, Heir to Keld, again, Llanowar Elves type deal. When you attack, you add 2 red. It doesn't have the extra clause which says, this red lasts till the end of your turn. It does empty the instant during the beginning of combat phase. So just use your red. If not, just let it go. Mana burn. There's no mana burn anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. Paradise Druid, Ornithopter of Paradise, can add any color. Then you have these 2 mana dorks that can produce sometimes more than 1 mana. So these produce 1 mana, produce more than 1 mana. Devoted Druid, You could tap it and then make a -1/-1 counter on it, untap and tap it again. Incubation Druid, you adapt it, you can tap it for more mana. Priest of Titania is very interesting. Let's actually read this card. This is one of the most powerful cards in the deck. 1 in green. It is a creature elf druid. So just remember, we do have druid synergies in this deck. Add 1 green for each to your mana pool for each elf in play. So for each elf on the battlefield, including your opponent's elf. So Priest of Titania is an elf. Most mana dorks are elves. These are elves. These are elves. This is an elf right there. Leafkin Druid. You know, if you have 4 more creatures, add green, which usually this deck spits out tons of creatures in the beginning. So you usually can add green there. Elysian Caryatid. It's a plant. I wish it was a druid, but it's a plant. You know, add 1 mana of any color. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana of any 1 color instead. So you can add 2 mana. Usually you can use Raggadragga to pump up, like let's say a Paradise Druid, then you have a creature of 4 or greater. So that's easy to satisfy here. Bloom Tender, add 1 mana of each color permanents you have. Usually you only have 2 usually, so adds 2 mana. So really good there. I forgot to tell you in the beginning of the deck tech that you are a little bit vulnerable to board wipes because, you know, this is a creature mana dork tribal, so you're just spinning out tons of creatures. We do have some protection spells. We'll get to those in a bit, but let's get through all these mana dorks here. We have our 3 mana value mana dorks. Now, when you get 3 or higher, you start producing a lot of mana. These two produce 1 mana. Rishgar can actually give a +1/+1 counter to Raggadragga, and then each creature with a +1/+1 counter now has a mana ability. So Raggadragga can now be a 6/6, and command damage is on the table with Raggadragga because Raggadragga can actually give itself +7/+7. So remember, command damage is a thing in this deck. Llanowar Visionary, it's a Llanowar Elf and Elvish Visionary to 1, so you ETB draw a card, helps you accelerate through the deck. Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, this is a card that some people use a lot. This is like a biorhythm on a creature. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells. So remember, only cast creatures. We have tons of creatures, so it's not a big deal here. But the cool part is if you pay 9 green, so that's 11 mana value total. That's where our mana sink comes in. Each player's life total becomes a number of creatures they control. Activate this ability only if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater. Should not be a problem with Raggadragga out. Viridian Joiner, which is really, really cool. This is a card I almost forgot existed. You add an amount of green mana equal to its power. It's 1 mana to start off with, but with Raggadragga, it's 3 mana. And anything like Rishgar pumping, it's more mana, or you could get +7/+7, add even more mana. So it's really good here. Now, these are the big producers here. Merowyn the Nurturer. Let's read that one. That's another legendary creature. When another elf ETBs under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Merowyn. Add an amount of green mana equal to its power. So just like the Viridian Joiner, except for it grows itself with more elves, which is really cool. Llanowar Tribe is like 3 Llanowar elves smacked together. Circle of Dreams Druid, add 1 green for each creature you control, which is insane. This Gaea's Cradle on stick. Elvish Archdruid, add 1 green for each elf you control. Remember, a lot of these things are elves. Actually, everything's an elf except for Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. And then you have Savala, which, let's actually read Savala as well. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. This is any creature on the battlefield and any controller. Then you pay green, tap at X mana, any combination of colors to your mana pool, where X is greatest power among creatures you control. So usually Savala's 2, it costs 1 green and tap. So if Savala's the only creature on the board, you net 1. But with Raggadragga, you net 3 with Savala. So it's really powerful. Okay, we're going to go on to 4. All right, there's not a lot of 4s, to be honest. This deck is all about ramping. Bam, bam, bam. It's actually got a lot of card draw, which we'll get to. So you can ramp some more. This deck is all about mana. Can't be Tactician. I just really like it from Kaldheim. Other elves you can control get +1/+1. Could help Merowyn get more power. Add 3 green. So that's pretty simple here. Leafkin Avenger. It's 2 red. So a rare red-green mana dork, 2 red-green. Elemental Druid. So it is a druid, but not an elf. Add 1 green for each creature you control with power 4 or greater, which itself is power 4. So other creatures can be up to power 4. But the cool part is it's got mana sink in here. So let's actually read this mana sink part. Leafkin Avenger deals damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker. So if you could pump it up some more, with Raggadragga it's 6 damage for 8 mana. So it's a really good mana sink, and you just slam 8, 16, 24 damage to somebody's face really easily with Leafkin Avenger. Karametra's Acolyte, is insane, just as insane as Circle of Dreams Druid. You know, added amount of green equal to your devotion to green, and you're playing a lot of mana dorks. You could add 8, 9, 10, 11, tons of mana with Kyrmetra's Acolyte. Here we have additional ramp. Not only do we have mana dorks, we have this other fun ramp. Leyline Abundance is mana dork steroids, or steroids for mana dorks, I should say. 2 green. If it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield, which is insanely good, like beyond good if you get this on your opening hand. Whenever you tap a creature for a mana, add an additional green. Wow. And it also has a mana sink, which is very cool too. 8 mana, put +1/+1 counter each creature you control, which is very easy to get with this deck because you have tons of mana dorks. Nyxmoon Ancient triples your mana output, which is insane with all your mana dorks. Of course, you have your usual Soul Ring. Soul Ring's good. Even with mana dork tribal, Soul Ring's good. Then we have the Great Henge. You know, it costs X less cast or X the greatest power among creatures you control. We are playing small creatures, but Raggadragga does pump creatures up. Get a good discount on Great Henge. You get to add green. And the important part, the very important part is playing a very heavy creature deck is the bottom part here. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put +1/+1 counter on it, even making it bigger, and draw a card. Speaking about card draw, in addition to the Great Henge, we have lots of card draw, card advantage cards because, again, we need velocity. So we're playing really cheap creatures. We need to keep moving the creatures on, and you know, play a creature, draw a card, play a creature, draw a card, like Great Henge, like Beast Whisper. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Guardian Project, creature ETB, draw a card. So it's really cool. You can draw cards there. You can Augur of Autumn isn't necessarily a card draw, but you know, you may look at a top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from top card of your library. And Coven, as long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells on top of the library, so a little card advantage from top of the library. You have Toski and Orin Frostfang. Toski basically says whenever creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's what we want to do. Raggadragga wants you to attack, deal combat damage, draw cards. Same thing, whenever creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And then attack creatures you control have Death Touch, which is super good right there. Regal Force, ETB, draw a card for each green creature. We're playing primarily green in this deck, so that's good card draw here. We have our 3 Return of the Wild Speaker, Shamanic Revelation, Riskar's Expertise. Usually we're playing 1 or 2, but now we're playing all 3. Draw a card is equal to the greatest power among non-humans, which elves are non-humans, you control. Or you can give like a little non-human overrun. Draw a card for each creature you control, which we're going wide, and we're going tall with Raggadragga, which is super cool. And if you get the +7/+7, wow. Return of Wild Spear and just like buff your entire hand. Riskar's Expertise, draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So it's not just it doesn't have a non-human clause. And then you get to cast a 5-mana value card for free. And Jessica's Will. I know we're playing a lot of green. It does add red, but the cool part is you can add red and exile top 3 cards of your library, so it's like a pseudo card draw. We do have some X spells in this deck we'll get to, but yeah, we do have a lot of card draw, and we definitely want to just accelerate through our deck, play more mana dorks, play more card draw, play more mana dorks, and just attack them to death. We have next category. I told you we're playing a lot of creatures, and you know, board wipes are a thing. Unfortunately, we're not playing like white, which has Teferi's Protection, Flawless Maneuver, and such, so green protection is not as plentiful, but we have Rapid Vigor. Regenerate each creature you control. I know Wrath of God would not allow you Rapid Vigor, but you know, most people aren't playing Wrath of God, playing Vanquish's Horde or other stuff like that. Heroic Intervention, so a little protection for your dorks. Some games you'll get board wiped out of the game, you won't have protection, but if you do have protection, always hold it up because it's very important to keep your army. Then we have some tutors, Quarter Calling, Finale of Devastation, Greens on Zenith. We use an X tutors because even if you get a 3-drop from Greens on Zenith, you could pay 7 total mana to trigger Raggadragga. Same for Quarter Calling or Finale of Devastation. So you could overpay to trigger Raggadragga's +7/+7 mode. These are our finishers right here. And the finisher I'm most interested in tutoring for is Gilt-Leaf Archdruid. Let's actually read this. 3 green, Elf Druid. Druid's the important part because whenever you play a Druid spell, you may draw a card. So it's also a good card draw spell by putting the finisher because this is what we really want to do. Tap 7 untapped Druids you control. Gain control of all lands target player controls. Wow. We have tons of Druids and tons of card draw. Gilt-Leaf Archdruid does count as a Druid, so you can tap itself to steal lands. What you can do is you can attack with your mana dorks, untap it with Raggadragga, and before even they declare blockers, you can tap the Druids and steal everybody's lands, or one player's lands. Then next turn, you essentially remove that player from the game. You steal all their lands, so it is a finisher. You steal, and then you steal some more lands from another player. We have the usual Prayer of Behemoth. We are playing a lot of Dorks, and we are afraid of board wipes, so we got to finish the game quick. Prayer of Behemoth can be Green Sun Zenith 4, Tutor 4, or just play naturally. End-Raise Forerunner is a Craterhoof light finisher. There's an End-Raise Forerunner trick that when ETBs, other creatures you control get +2/+2, gain Vigilance, and Trample until end of turn. So what you could do is you can attack with the Mana Dork. Raggadragga is triggered on a stack. Tap it for mana, and then untap it with Raggadragga. So now I have mana floating, but you gotta use it right away. But that's a cool trick because it gives Vigilance. Kamal, Heart of Krosa. It's actually read Kamal. At the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain Trample until end of turn, so it just pumps your whole team. Then until end of turn, target land you control becomes a 1/1 elemental creature with Vigilance, Indestructible, and Haste. It's still a land, so it's essentially a 4/4. So you can turn your land sideways too. Beastmaster Ascension, essentially, whenever creature you control attacks, put a counter on it, and if it has 7 counters, all creatures +5/+5. So it's kind of like a Craterhoof Behemoth that stays on the battlefield as long as you have 7 counters. So those are our finishers. We are doing combat damage. We do have the ability to do commander damage, so don't ever forget about that. All right, the removal package. Usually we do have some problematic permanents. We don't have a lot of removal. We're aiming on player removal, but we do have some removal because we can't just live in a vacuum. We play against opponents. Beast Within, Chaos Warp, good single targeted removal. Bane of Progress. This deck does play some enchantments and artifacts, but not enough to not have Bane of Progress, which just wipes away all enchantments and artifacts. Vandal Blast, red ultra staple. I can do a video on how this is amazing. Everybody's playing treasures, mana rocks. It just wipes it all out for 5 mana. And then you can get to 5 mana really easily in this deck. So you could, anybody does a couple turn 1 soul rings, mana rocks, boom, wipe them all out with Vandal Blast. Azuri's Predation. I love this card. And it costs 8. So remember, 8 is the magic number for Raggadragga. Each creature your opponents control, create a 4/4 beast creature token. Each of those beasts fights a different one of those creatures. Super good. Blasphemous Act. Now the cool part about Blasphemous Act, it does have 9 mana value, but usually play for 1 red, does 13 damage to everything. When you cast it, right, Raggadragga triggers, gives +7/+7 to something. So something might survive. Raggadragga itself will be 11/11, so it won't survive Blasphemous Act unless you pump it in some way. But something might survive if you have Raggadragga and do Blasphemous Act. So don't ever forget that. Comet Storm, right here, has an X spell. Can deal massive damage to everybody. You are doing, Mana Dorks. This is one of the finishers, but I just want to put this as removal first, finisher second. Shatter Skull Smashing, again, kills creatures or planeswalkers, usually creatures. Then can also trigger Raggadragga. Some Graveyard Hate, utility cards. I love my Graveyard Hate. Scavenging Ooze. With all your Mana Dorks and all your extra green mana, you could just wipe out people's graveyards with Scavenging Ooze on the board. Soul Guide Lantern is just such a good card. Battlegat Recovery, Moldo face card, get your Craterhoof, wherever, finisher back. Guilt Leaf, Archdruid back, whatever you need, get it back. Rhythm of the Wild, creature spells you control can't be countered, and non-creatures you control have Riots. They either have haste, so you can tap them for mana, or +1/+1 counter on it. That's one of the ways to keep Raggadragga alive through Blasphemous Act. Rhythm of the Wild plus extra counters from other things can keep Raggadragga alive. So those are our utility cards. Not a lot because we're playing a lot of Mana Dorks. Here we actually have 4 green fetch lands, primarily to get Dryad Arbor because it is fetchable through these fetch lands. So your lands can turn into Mana Dork. That's why they're here. We have Command Tower and the 2-color or the Gruul lands right there. Try to get, so usually you always try to get 1 drop, but if you don't, put an ETB tap Rockville into play tap turn 1. We try to have more untapped lands and tap lands on turn 1. We have the rest of the lands, some utility lands. We have our channel lands, Boseiju, Soken Zun, Okina, Yavimaya, and then Okina, what it does is put it on top here. Let's read this. Target legendary creature gets +1/+1 to end turn. So sometimes we can pump our legendary creatures like Merowyn or Raggadragga, do that combat damage. We have Shakinta, target legendary creature gains first strike. Again, attacking with Raggadragga is a possibility. Shokunzun, do some channeling, but usually play as a land. We have Kesset Wolfrun to give +X/+0 and trample to just punch through the last points of damage. Scavenger Grounds is more Graveyard Hate than our usual Thespian Stage Vesuva combo. We have our basic lands, one basic mountain just in case we need it, but all forest because we are playing a very, very heavy green deck. We want to have that green mana turn 1. We gotta get the Yavimaya in there, do fun things. Anyways, that is the deck tech so far. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, smash subscribe, and hit notification bell to be alerted for new videos in the future. And put a comment below and tell me how much you love Raggadragga and Mana Dorks. I'm gonna shuffle this deck up, get ready for some Goldfish because that's what I love to do. See if we can assemble the Archdruid combo. Anyways, I'm gonna shuffle this deck up and then we'll be right back. All right, we are back with our friend Raggadragga, turn 1. Let's go for it. Boom, boom, 7 cards. We do always, hopefully, not always, get a 1 mana dork. Let's see here, we got a 1 mana dork. We got 4 mana dorks actually, well, that's as expected. No card draw except for Line War Visionary, just not the greatest, but it's not bad. We do have the worst mana dork. I think you want at least a 1 mana dork or 2 mana dork. Otherwise, mulligan. We do have a bunch of tap lands. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But we got red in there. This one doesn't tap for red. This one does. And this one does. Alright, cool. Let's go for it. Turn 1, draw our first card. Oh my god, are you serious? If that was in our opening hand right there, we could start a game off. The game would be different. This is like a turn 0 Soul Ring if you start the game off with this. But we didn't, so we'll deal with it. So we'll play our only untapped land. Tap that for our 1 mana dork. So next turn, we can play a tap land and a 2 mana dork. Or wherever we draw, let's just see. Okay, turn 2. Oh, I'm so disappointed right here. That'd be amazing. It's still amazing. Oh, we got a card draw right here. Great Henge. It does cost a lot to cast. It costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Only 1 less, that's all we got. But we do play our commander, we can get hooked up. I think the best thing to do is to play our tap land. We already have red, so we can play our Treetop Village. Then play our mana dork. Now, which mana dork do we want? This one could potentially produce 2 mana and cast this one later if we cast our commander next turn. Who's doing the math? No, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. If we draw an untapped land, this can possibly cast 2 mana. So I think what we do is tap these 2 and play this. Has the highest upside. It doesn't give our Great Henge any discount because they're all 1/1s. All right, turn 3, untapped land. Untapped land. We'll take it. Okay, that's exactly what I was saying. If we do this, untapped land, right there, we could summon our Raggadragga, Goreguts boss. There. So each creature you control with a mana ability is +2/+2, so these are 3/3s. And then when a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, untap it. So what we could do is attack with this, trigger Raggadragga, untap it, right there. Now Raggadragga is a creature with power 4 greater. After we attack, we could just tap 2, right here. 4 greater, add 2 mana of any 1 color. So add 2 green, do our Paradise Druid. So that's pretty sweet. And then we'll say go. Turn 4. Let's see if we do explosive things on turn 4. Remember, these guys are big now. The Great Henge is discounted by 4. So it does cost 3 green, costs 5. Let's see here. What we get? A land, another tap land. Wow, we do have a lot of tap lands in this deck. We might have to fix that by having more forced. See, that's part of, like learning how this deck works. We do have a lot of tap lands here. We got 1, we got 3. Oh, we just drew them all. So, see what we could do. If we do this here, we could double our mana output. So we'll just, remember, if no one's has any blockers, you can only say, hey, I'm going to attack, untap your dudes. These things are bigger because they got +2/+2 from Raggadragga. If you do cast the Great Henge right here, it does have a mana value of 9. It does trigger Raggadragga's second ability, get +7/+7 trample. So just remember that. But I think first things first, we're going to cast our mana doubler here. We're going to use this guy. Cast Leyline of Abundance. So whenever you tap a creature for mana, it adds additional green. So we have 3, 4, 5. We have 5 green here. We could do this, but let's see here. Let's just tap for 3, see what we get. Tap for 3, do Line Word Visionary, because next turn we want to save it for next turn. Line Word Tribe. These guys don't have haste, so that's the end of our turn. Pass. Oh, no pass. Silly me. We forgot. We got land. We'll play our Sheltered Thicket there. Now we will pass turn 5. See what kind of shenanigans we could do here. Draw a card. Elvish Archdruid. Power. Okay. Great Henge. Let's see what we can do. Remember, always attack if necessary. But what we want to do is play the Great Henge and then get +7/+7 on somebody. Probably on Raggadragga. So we'll play the Great Henge. Biggest creature is Raggadragga itself at 4 mana. So this does cost 5. So we'll tap our 4 lands. And we'll have 1 floating. We'll have 1 floating right there with this guy. We'll play our Great Henge. Great Henge does give you back 2 mana. It doesn't, Leyline and Great Henge don't work together, but that's okay. We have our 1 floating here. We have Elvish Archdruid, so we'll just tap this for 2 green. Use our 1 floating. Play Elvish Archdruid. We did trigger Raggadragga's +7/+7, which give Raggadragga 7/7. Now Raggadragga is 11, so if you do it, you can do 21 commander damage with this commander. But +1/+1 counter in here due to Great Henge. Draw a card. Oh, more ETB tap lands. We'll put this into play tapped. Here we got 1 more Line Word Tribe. We'll do this here. Line Word Tribe. +1/+1 counter. We'll draw a card with Great Henge. Camping Tactician. See here, these 2 are available to tap for double mana. Camping Tactician. +1/+1 counter. Draw a card. That's pretty. Oh, don't have the extra mana for a front line. But next turn we got tons of mana. Okay, now you can attack Raggadragga for 11. Boom, that'd be sweet. These are elf lords, these 2. And we have a bunch of elves in there. So we pass our turn 6. This is sweet. We do have a bunch of ETB tap lands, though. That is kind of sad. Regal Force, get tons of cards there. Where's our basics? Come on. Okay, now we have a bunch of elves here. We do have a Mana Sink and Leyline of Abundance right there. Let's see what we want to do. Let's just play our 1 tiny Mana Dork. Let's not use our Mana Dork tap lands there. Let's use this guy here. Finhorn Elves. These are non-sick dudes right there. Put sick dudes on the bottom. Finhorn Elves. +1/+1 counter. Draw a card. Leafkin Avenger. Oh, I wish I do that haste. Okay, we'll cast this. Great Henge does make mana. We'll do that. We'll tap these. Play Leafkin Avenger. Running at dice. Draw a card. Misty Rainforest. So we play an untapped land if we needed to. That'll give us our Dryad Arbor if we wanted to. Remember, all these elves get +2/+2 from our elf lords right here. +2/+2 from Raggadragga. So this guy's like a 6/5. You can attack, untap. We do have Leyline Abundance math. This guy makes up green for each elf, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elves, so it makes 7 mana. You could surprise pump your team. Regal Force, draw tons of cards. So let's see what we want to do. Regal Force also triggers Raggadragga's ability. Don't forget that. So let's just draw a bunch of cards, see what we can do. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll just tap our 1 dude and cast a Regal Force right there. Draw a card for each green creature you control. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll draw casually 11 cards. Well, 12 because Great Henge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, Jessica's will. How nice is that? We do trigger Raggadragga. We can put it on Raggadragga. Now it's 11-11. there. Let's see what else we could do. Finale for a lot of mana. Return the Wild Speaker. Beastmaster Ascension. How many creatures do we have untapped that can attack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Beastmaster Ascension, but we don't have enough mana to actually do. Actually, we do. We do. Hold on. This is what we do. Beastmaster Ascension, we play our land because we were waiting for our basic. So now we play our land. We tap this. Do our Beastmaster Ascension right there in the corner. And then when our creature you control attacks, plus put a quest counter Beastmaster Ascension, as long as you have 7, +5/+5. So we go like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We attack for 7. We have 7 total counters on this sucker. Everything's +5/+5. All the elves are +4/+4, so +9/+9. You have gigantic elves. This is a 10/10 elf barreling towards your face. And then we trigger Raggadragga's ability. We can untap our attackers. This is not one. Untap it. And then with that on the stack, we could pay 8 to pump. So we could, tap this for 1, 2, 3, 6. Well, that's 8 right there because the ley line. Put a +1/+1 counter on all the creatures. So say +1/+1 counter everything here. Really running out of dice here, guys. And these go to 2. So now our creatures are pumped like +10/+10. Our elves are at least. I don't know what your opponents can do. This is more fun than Crater Hoof sometimes, right? So, bam, wipe out one opponent. Tons of land mana. Next turn, Finale of Devastation. Wipe out the other opponents. Say good game. Now, as I said in the beginning, this deck is very vulnerable to board wipe. Imagine if you got your board wiped, right? You just, boom, all gone. That's just very sad state of affairs. Because on turn 6, you have exactly 6 lands because you didn't do any land ramp. Because all your ramps are mana dork. Right, boom. That is a sad state of affairs. If you have your whole board wiped, you might still have your hand left, but you played all your dorks. There's only 1 dork left. 2 dorks, you gotta level up. So, very vulnerable board wipe. Try to get, hold on to that heroic intervention, Rapid Vigor, whenever you get a chance. If you enjoy this deck, give the video a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for future videos. Add a comment below to say hi, do whatever. Deck list is also in the description below, along with my TCG Player affiliate link, how to support the channel. All the other cool affiliate links, if you want to help to support the channel in different ways, they're all there. And as always, have a wonderful day.